Welcome to the Accessible Hunter podcast. I'm Greg Trainer along with my co-host Mike Hudson. And today we're joined by a very special guest, MJ Rogers. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Happy to be with you.
We sure appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk with us. And we've been fans of yours for a long time, following along everything you're doing with archery. And you've got decades of experience, and we're just so thankful to have you on. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about what you've been doing the last 30 years and everything you've done with archery? You can do it better than I can, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. So again, I'm MJ Rogers, and the initials started when I was just a wee lad. I worked with my father, who was also a Martin, and that's the Martin Joseph is but there are only very few people that call me Martin. MJ is around the world. Anyway, I started archery way back when. I messed around scouts and tried to see if I could get an arrow to go straight up in the air. And fortunately, I survived.
That's
Did a variety of things along the way, and had a neighbor that had two sons, and so they needed a fourth person for an archery league. And so I participated in the old Fred Bear bow hunter round, shooting paper at a local archery club, and from there, just the hobby kind of morphed into a bit of a passion, and then ultimately a vocation. So it's been quite a travel along the way. I got involved in the coaching realm in that my wife was the competitor. I introduced her to archery. Well, actually, she informed me that our relationship uh, 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 remains was I had taken her to an archery event, and she didn't shoot at the time, and so she informed me that if things are going to continue, she had to have a bow. Well, that was a easy decision, but at that time there was just no equipment for women, so we modified and shooting NFAA field rounds. The 70 and the 80-yard shots were just rainbows if we took them at all. And so anyway, she was much more competitive than I. So I had to learn how to coach so that she would want me to actually go along to the competition. So that was my introduction into learning how to coach. And so I have been involved on that side of it for, as you said, a little more than 30 years now, and have had just a grand ride along the way. I have interacted while I was working at the training center in Chula Vista, just a variety of coaches. I lived on site because we had minors as part of the resident program. So I roomed with a canoe kayak coach from Hungary, and a race walking coach from Venezuela, and the field hockey coach was from India. And so we
Wow.
had a chance to commiserate about, oh, okay, where we're going to get these dollars, and how are we going to recruit, and so you just find that in all facets of that side of the sport, everybody's got the same sort of issues, and you kind of work things out as necessary. And so I have been very fortunate along that realm to interact with a variety of coaches.
That's an amazing start. We always love to hear that it starts with family. You don't start off as an Olympic coach. You start off at little league and working with family and friends, and it's just an amazing journey. No matter how many people we talk to, we love hearing the stories.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And of course, along the way, I my wife was the executive secretary for the Field Archery Association, the NFAA, in California. And after I left the USA Archery in Chula Vista, I worked for actually the subsidiary, the World Archery Festival. So part of my job in that realm was not only the trade show stuff, but to help set up events. And so that was my somewhat informal, formal introduction into the adaptive side of it, as I had to figure out how to build a ramp and how to figure out logistics to get people on and off of a competition field. And so I was interacting with those in wheelchairs and those folks with accessibility needs. And so I just looked at them as archers and sometimes pain in my ass, but excuse my French, but but I never saw them as anybody different. I just expected them to roll or walk onto the field and participate as anybody else. So they'd always been just friends to me. And so that transition from those that are deemed able-bodied to those that are disabled, which is an absolute misnomer.
Right.
It just wasn't as easy transition. They were just archers.
That's how it is, Coach. It doesn't matter if you're a jerk walking around, you're a jerk rolling too. So we're used to that. You're right. It's a wrong nomenclature. We're just who we are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's interesting. Several of the venues that I've been in, I outside, for the most part, I'm somewhat deemed normal, but in some of those venues, I'm not the normal person. I don't need the guide, and my power chair doesn't need to get recharged, and so the fascination is that I wonder what would the the most of us react if we showed our or had a sign on us our little foibles. Don't like loud noises. Don't like
Yeah.
the dark or afraid of spiders. Or we had to hang that tag on us. How we would react on a daily basis. So that lends a new perspective. Then that's has always been kind of a guiding light for me.
It's an excellent way of pointing that out. That we all have our advantages, we all have our disadvantages, and being a quadriplegic, when I roll into a room, everybody's head turns and stares because they see my disability that's out there, but they may not see that I'm afraid of the dark or the other things that we worry about. Um, you've got to travel all over the world and all over the United States and dealing with ramps and accessibility issues. And what are some of the challenges that you have to deal with at these competitions with maybe equipment that gets broken, or it's not only dealing with the athletes and in the day to day, but what are some of those challenges?
Well, you become kind of a MacGyver as needed. Fixing, I've learned a whole lot about fixing power chairs and the adapter to wheelchairs, the Fireflies and their adjustments, and so you just again you roll with it for the most part. But the accessibility component is uh, even within the U.S., the um, the access, the curb cuts, the automatic doors, the ramps that are supposedly accessible. There's a signpost in the way, or come wintertime here, somebody's going to push a pile of snow up onto that curb cut, or that handicap parking spot is always open. So let's just pile it there for a little while. And so you begin to have a little better perspective and observe those items. Internationally, you learn a whole new method of getting people onto buses.
Yeah.
You team carry, you learn for the athletes, their mandate often is you're going to have to transfer. And so you learn how to have somebody hang around your neck, and you move them from a wheelchair or an aisle chair into a seat, and you inform the bus driver, don't do a quick stop because there's no seat belts to speak of, or you partner folks up so that they can support one another, so that there isn't a swerve or there is an abrupt stop, that you don't go tumbling forward, which is an inevitability. Everybody that has traveled with the team knows that somebody's going to do a tumble. And one of my first experiences with one of the archers, we were at a world championships in Italy, and I was rolling Martha Chavez to a classification, and this guy didn't pay attention to a bit of a barricade that was set up, just a little hump, and I caught her front caster and I tumbled Martha out, and she has yet to let me live that down.
Yeah.
Because we skinned some knees headed for classification, and I just tell her that was just an added benefit to make sure that she did that classification. Although she has an SCI, so there was no question about it anyway.
Right.
But
That's
those types of things you start to pay attention to. You see cracks in, and you be aware of the severity of a ramp, and international plane travel is just a whole new learning curve, because in most cases the attendants have never dealt with. They don't know, and when you have a tribe of either wheelchairs or arm crutches or amputees, uh, we're the first ones on and we're the last ones off.
Yes,
And
sir.
finding the aisle chair that is packed somewhere on that plane, I've walked around planes with the attendant, and they have a Where's Waldo on their in their phone. And, where's the aisle chair? Because it folds up and it's stored in some cabin somewhere. And then the reality of an accessible restroom on a plane, give me a break.
right.
They don't. They are far and few between, and they so randomly get weared that it's just again, it's a new experience for attendants. And the sad part is that those of you that have done long trips uh, know what the ordeal is to get to the restroom, so you don't drink anything.
Right.
Shame on you, because you have to do that, because as an athlete, the expectation is when you get to the site, when you get to the event, when you get to the location, you have to perform. And
Yes,
Right.
sir.
if you're dehydrated or other consequences of not taking enough fluids or nourishment or whatever the case may be, you're not holding up your end of the bargain. So
Right.
it's okay to say that, and I tell the athletes, I said, I expect you to be selfish. I expect you to have me. I'm schlepping your equipment. You're here to perform. You're here to shoot, and I'm here to support all of that. So moving equipment, no big deal. Getting you in and out of a hotel that's not accessible, I'm okay with that. Finding a substitute for a shower chair, I'm okay with that.
Right.
Whatever you need, that's my job in that venue.
We appreciate everything you do, Coach, and that's the biggest thing is we try to tell people advocacy takes us all, and you get it from a whole different side. You see the things that they're going through, and you've done it for the last 30 years or so, and you see the amount of change, not only here in the United States, but worldwide, about what is needed and how much has changed, but how much has not changed.
Cool.
And then, we still pushing. Airlines are still that way. There are no restrooms, and the last one to get off a plane's us, and we're still pushing that fight. But again, it's about an empathetic dialogue. Just allow us to tell you what our needs are, and let's make this happen. But thank you again for all that you do for these athletes. You give them a good showing, and their job is to perform, and you make everything else come along. And that's the biggest part, is you make that transition a lot smoother for these athletes. And thank you.
Absolutely. Again, it's interesting, the variety of individuals that I have been able to interact with has been just pretty outstanding. One of the interesting memories along the way, we've of course the fly commercial, and so we coming back from Rio, we were flying with part of the wheelchair rugby team and part of the wheelchair basketball team. And part of my job after the plane lands, and I break the rules because they say once you leave the plane, you can't get back on. Bull hockey. I tell them, unless they want to figure out how to get people on and off this plane in under a 2 hour stint, you let me go out and figure out whose wheelchair is the most accessible. And then
Right.
I'll tell your folks that are going to go get them what seat they're in. Well, we came back and the entire jetway was full of wheelchairs. Great. Now how do I start? And so it started to get slowed down and belabored. And the rugby folks and the basketball folks just hopped off and scooted up the aisle on their nubs and right out on the jetway and hopped on their chair. And the attendants' eyeballs were coming out of their heads like, what's going on? How does this happen? And so it was pretty enlightening all the way around. But yeah, that a big part of it is to have the wherewithal to say this is what we're going to do because this is what's necessary. When they say you can't go on and off, I tell them rules are made to be broken because otherwise you guys are going to be here all day and it'll be just an ordeal. It's what you do.
You're the expert at getting on and off those aircraft. You guys fly everywhere. You deal with that on a weekly basis sometimes during the year. So you are the expert. And if they just stand back and get out of your way, you can make the transition happen so much smoother.
Oh yeah, yeah. And this the equipment, trying to figure out how best to get a chair into the cargo hold and pull the pieces off, and the Firefly thing, the challenge of, well, is this battery safe? Well, by far the best way is to take that battery off, especially with the detachable one that the Firefly that goes on, and that's in the carry-on. That's in the cabin above, as the chair guards, the wheel guards, they go in as well. Anything, the seat cushion, all of that stuff gets detached, and you hope that when you get to the location that you don't have a wheel that looks like a taco.
Yeah, and in doing all that, if the TSA or the people that are there would just listen to you and listen to the athletes, they'll figure out quickly that they're being educated as well, not talked down to, not dumbed down to. They're being educated, and so when they face somebody on a day to day, they have a leg up. they've interacted with the team coming through, and they just had 30 day-to-day interactions in just a few moments, as opposed to a month long of one-off athletes. It's dumbfounding, but I digress.
You are so very right. It's just a matter of letting them listen in, and for the most part, they are willing to do it. It just happens that it's a foreign object to get into that cargo hold, and it's just a matter of trying to protect as best you can and secure things as needed. And the reality is, when you get there, you find out who is the Mr. Fix-It in the crew, and you fix stuff as necessary.
Right. You're the MacGyver of the crew, I'm sure.
Oh, I have a kit that travels with me, and they're often the other coaches that travel along with, and they say, "Well, can I carry that?" I said, "Sure." It weighs about 34 pounds. And it's got a little bit of everything in it, and they look in the kit and they say, "Well, have you ever used this?" I said, "No, but sometime I may need to." And
That's right.
you need a stick-on rest, or you need a screw that's a 440 and it's half an inch long, or you need a rubber band to keep a sleeve out of the way, or all that sort of stuff. And I kid them. There are things in there. I have some Gatorade gummies, and there occasionally I'll bring those out, and they've been in that bag so long that when I offer those up, everybody says, "I'll just go hungry. I'll go find a bug or something else," because there's either lint, or they say, "Well, how old are those?" I said, "They don't have an expiration date. They're like a Pop-Tart. They'll last forever. Pop-Tart or a Twinkie."
That's right.
Mike and I are backyard archers, and we're hunters. I mean, we're just regular guys. But when you talk about your tool bag, when somebody grabs my hunting backpack, it weighs about 30 pounds too, because I've got all the wrenches for my mounts in it and everything. And you might only use that once every 2 years or every 3 years, but whenever you need it, you need it, And you're traveling around the country, around the world with a emergency backpack, then we kind of can identify with that.
Yep, that's so true, and that's a part of the seminars that I do. One of the sessions is, well, what's in the bag? And so I start to drag out things, and not only the wrenches and the tools and stuff, but Band-Aids and tape and screws and just general stuff. Again, that how often are you going to use it? I don't know, but I've got it. And there have been instances when something has broken or come loose or something. And the last issue, we were I forget, somewhere with Eric Bennett, and he asked me if I had any lube, and I said, I'm not sure. Well, guess what's in the bag now is that I got a little container of WD-40 and a little squeeze bottle of micro lube that travels with. And so you learn along the way, and the darn thing gets a little heavier all the time.
Over the years, I've always been a big list maker. And, before the season, I make my list, and as you said, WD-40 is on it sometimes because you needed it once. And my wife will say to me, "Well, why do we need this in the bag?" "Well, we needed it, 6 months ago. I don't want to be without it again." That type of thing. So you learn as you go.
Yep. And you look for ones that travel easy. They make a little like an eyedropper type of a WD-40 instead of the aerosol can. And so that makes it easy to slip it in a baggie so that it doesn't leak or blow up or whatever. You have that. You have a little what as far as heat moving points and taking things loose is a cigar lighter because it's butane. And it doesn't care whether it's blowing 30-mile-an-hour wind or calm as day, it's going to light up. And the biggest issue is that it lights up. So you be cautious if you're trying to burn a knot on a string that you don't have a whole spaghetti in your hand. But again, it's just a matter of it's dependable in that way, and so you kind of search out things that are multi-use.
Coach, I got a question about travel, and you've traveled all over. What do you see, or what's one of the places that you've been to that you've been surprised at how much they push advocacy, or vice versa?
Oh, but two places. One actually, we were in Colombia, in Medellin. I was there in June, I guess, of this year. Their sport facility had a visually impaired pathway everywhere.
Really?
Led up to the buildings, had Braille listed in their signage, and just accessible all the way around. And the same thing holds true. There's a training center in Tijuana that has the same sort of a layout. Similarly, in Japan, in Tokyo, they had accessible pathways and VI pathway built right into the sidewalk, not just right at the curb cut, but a pathway to everywhere and branch the intersections, the whole 9 yards. That was one of the interesting components. Now, in South America, the 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 joints in sidewalks are not necessarily the closest fit, but again, the provisions are to some degree there. It's not it's maybe not as enforced or tried to be enforced here in the U.S. And I point out to folks all the time. I said, those double doors to get into the building. Can you imagine doing that in a chair? You got to pull on that door and back up and hope to get through the door to get to the next one before the darn thing closes. And then you get to do that in a vestibule that's about 4 feet deep. Well, how do you do that? And so you just start to have that awareness of, well, and I wish there were more of wheelchair users that would get into the consulting role of new projects to go out and say, I'm going to roll around here and I'll tell you where your deficits are, and just make you an awareness of the builders and architects and those that are starting projects like that. We never even give that a thought. Well, you need to.
That's the kicker. Is a lot of times you don't know what you don't know until you're stuck in that position. Me and Greg have talked about it extensively. Is before I got hurt, I just took it as ignorance, and I thought somebody in a chair just couldn't walk. And it's the nuances that go along with it that make it a lot worse. But you're right. Inclusion and diversity takes on a whole different avenue when you throw a 350-pound chair in the mix and you try to race the door. To get around the door, that's hard if you don't have push buttons. And I'm just excited to hear that there's a lot of other countries that are taking this stuff to heart, that it's not Americans with Disabilities Act, and we've had those hard struggles over the last 50 or 60 years, and now we're seeing more and more countries. I advocate a lot with Africa, and different parts of Africa are seeing it and doing it, whether it's Kenya or Tanzania or Romania. They're having what do you want, an eye-opening experience where they're really jumping into it and they're seeing more and more people where for a while it was almost considered a family curse that something happened to you. You're in your chair because of an issue, not counting the paralysis, so
Right.
we're seeing them get out more and more. So that's exciting. Didn't mean to bogart on the conversation, but that's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is good to see, and each one is going to have their limitation factor. Uh, Recently, in Morelina in Mexico, there was accessibility, but the bus wasn't. So
Oh,
you pick people up and you carry them onto the bus, and so again, you kind of live outside of the box. The expectations of, okay, it's supposed to run this way and the schedule's going to be like this. Well, you adapt, and that's one of the interesting components is that when people talk about, well, how do I become a para coach, or how do I learn about adaptations? I said especially archery, everybody that you deal with has to have some sort of adaptation. Either
yeah.
draw length or draw weight, or we're going to move a peep sight, or we need to change a grip or whatever. So you're just working with an adaptation on a grander scale. And so the reality is that when you start to think that way, you become a better coach, because you are always out thinking of how can I make or facilitate uh, the athlete to be better in a shorter period of time. How can I aid their short circuit? That's always been my philosophy, is that I'm just a facilitator. All I do is provide an additional opportunity, and information through experience, or information from other coaches. I steal stuff from other coaches all the time. It's just what you do, and you blend what you know as far as experience, how you are accepted between the athlete, the rapport, which is a critical piece of it. They have to have quite a trust in to say, and uh, those types of things are what you build upon, and you facilitate their experience. And I own none of their medals, and they are not my archers. I'm
Mm.
there as just a server, and I actually have the medallion. I'm a tool, and if they know how to use this tool, that's me. Then we all gain from it. But to say that I had any part beyond that tool mechanism to win that gold medal, or take down that huge horns, or whatever the case may be, uh, that ain't me. I'm just a provider. I tell the groups along the way. I said, I'll go to study this ladder to success, and I'm going to point out how far it is between the rungs, and how many you should take at a time. But at no time am I going to try to pull or push you up this ladder, because somebody's going to get hurt. And
Yeah.
so we just start off in that sort of a mindset. And I have expectations. If this is your objective, you own it. And you own the success, and you own the failure. And together, if that's the direction you want to go, we'll figure this out.
Right.
Coach, that's a great way of putting that. I've never heard the ladder analogy, and I can't imagine the amount of pressure these athletes are under I mean, the amount of years that go into this certain competition, it happens every 4 years or what have you. And they've trained their entire life, the number of hours they've spent for this high pressure moment. And do you guys do like any special mental training for these events, or how do the athletes handle it with, you get there, your equipment's broken, or you've transitioned from an airplane and now you have to perform? How do they turn the switch? How do they handle the pressure? Or what's a good tip that Mike and I can tell everybody how to be better mentally, how to be sharper or stronger?
One of the most valuable tools is to understand who you are on any given day, and you're different. And even though that yesterday in practice, the sight was like on. I was smoking the 10 ring, and today it's high left. And instead of chasing the sight by moving it, just let things settle. Go ahead and shoot a little bit until things kind of settle in, and you'll be surprised how things gravitate back towards middle. And over the course of time, you again, through experience, practice, you can try to simulate as best you can. The pressure is just different, and each personality will handle that differently. And it's just a matter too of allowing them to be whoever they are. Not try to enforce a rule or try to manipulate who they are. It's just rolling with it, being okay with how they deal with those types of issues. And that is another observation thing from a coach, is when you start to see that death spiral starting to happen, and that they just need to get away from it for a minute, just walk over there and say, let's go for a walk. And you just walk 100 yards or 50 yards or whatever, and just have a conversation about what's going on, and tie them back to the ownership of it. Listen, you've worked this hard, this far, and now you're going to give up. I hear the complaints onto the shooting line, and I'll tell them, hey, well, let's just tear it apart, put it back in the bag, and let's go home. And they look at me like, what are you talking about? I said, well, if you're giving up, I'm okay with giving up too. That'll just shorten my day. And so that they realize that, oh, okay, maybe I need to suck it up. Maybe I need to. And at the same time, you have that empathy thing of, boy, oh boy, this just isn't working. And the fact of the matter is that, as you said, Greg, the pressure is on the recurve side, it's set system, which means as few as 9 arrows, you're done.
Wow.
9 arrows at 70 meters at a bullseye that's 12 centimeters in diameter. That's a whole heck of a lot of pressure.
Absolutely.
And so you start to again have an understanding of what they're going through. And in my case, there's a little bit of sarcasm that happens occasionally, knowing their personality and how it fits. When Kevin was shooting for his medals in Tokyo, and he would kind of fling one out in the middle of nowhere and say, listen, we've got enough TV time. Let's just do this. And he'd look at me like funny, like, well, okay, I'm trying. But it broke the fear, or it broke, and Kevin is just an outstanding athlete. Oh my goodness, it just and a competitor. to the nth degree. He was often the first one onto the practice field, and often the last one onto the bus. And so you acknowledge that dedication and understand where he's come from and enthusiasm. The day that he did his medal match, it drizzled rain on and off all day. So the first arrows out onto the next match in the progression was, okay, where are we going to aim this time? Because if it's a hard rain or if it's a drizzly rain, the bowstring is wet and the tab you try to keep dry and all those things. And so you just kind of roll with it. And the distraction part of it is to just again have a conversation about, oh, okay, what are we going to do, and have the objective and plan in hand of what happens if. And so you just kind of do it.
You train for a real world scenario, but at the same time, stay flexible enough to get back in the game no matter what it does. Don't let the mental aspect break you down.
Oh, exactly. So, and they all have seen, or they have their knowledge of. I have a thing I started, oh my gosh, a long, long time ago, in that I'll offer up one of my signed dollar bills. Over the course of 30 years, I'm out about $15 or $18, because when I offer it, it's at a pressure moment. And those that know that about halfway through, I'm going to change the rules.
There you go.
And so they are fully aware of, if I get one of these, I've earned it. And there are very, very few that have multiple. Matt Stutzman, I think, is probably the biggest winner. I think he maybe has 2 or 3 of my dollars. Darn him.
He deserves them.
Well, he has earned them. Trust me, those are not given away. A funny story. Excuse me, Eric Bennett. We were at World Championships in Germany a few years back, and he's shooting his match to get into the gold medal, and doing really pretty well, but everything's dropping out the bottom. And so I said, you shoot a high 10 and you'll earn $1. And so his first out, Eric, to understand, he's shooting 70 meters, 34 pounds, recurve bow with a mouth tap.
Oh, wow.
And so his first 2 arrows are X's. So he turns around to me and gives me oh, okay. And I said, that's not $1. I said a high 10.
Yeah.
So his third arrow is a high 10. And I have that photo of the 2 X's and the 10, and everybody's like, whoa, 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 wow, 2 X's. I said, those didn't mean anything. It was the high 10 that meant something to Eric.
That's right.
It's a high standard.
That's right. Yeah, you do that same thing, and it's just a matter of that is a distractor of, oh my God, I'm in the middle of, or I'm about to. Oh no, I'm just going to earn $1. And
right.
So you change what is perceived as an overwhelming pressure to, I think I can do this type of a thing.
You know, Coach, I was in the Marine Corps, and we used to do that a lot of times. I just need to get them out of their head for a minute. And so we would have a little come to Jesus meeting. And, you train for this scenario. You go over and over. You know your equipment. Start relying on your training. Stop worrying about the head games, and get back to it. And that's all you're doing. You got to have tough skin, and just get back to what you know you're doing. And that earning that $1 becomes more of a perspective than hitting that X. Now I want that dollar bill. I want to take it from Coach. And that's one of the things. If you tell me I can't do it, I want it even more.
That's so very true. And thank you for your service. I fell in the gap. My father was a Marine in the South Pacific, and my son was in the Corps, and he was in Kuwait and Somalia, and part of the Raider team. And so I fully understand. And his mother and I were so thrilled from the training that he had gone through, knowing that he was in harm's way, but he had that sort of camaraderie and brotherhood beyond. And in that realm, there's an outstanding book that talks to that coaches in the adaptive or para realm should read as Tribe. If they're going to work with a military crew, they need to have an understanding of what the tribe was all about,
Yes,
and
sir.
how much of a transition from that environment that they lived and breathed and died around, that it's critical
It is.
to
It
have
is.
that understanding.
That's the kicker. I don't say it for kudos. Um, when it comes down to getting after anything that you got going on, that Team USA is there, but bigger than that is the Marine standing left and right of you. We don't say it for anything other than what it is. Semper Fidelis means a lot, and I take it I take it personal when you have a problem with my brother. Then now you got a big problem with me. And Team USA means a lot to us, and you guys have done a phenomenal job. I love following you guys. Um, Coach, I can't say it enough. We appreciate everything you do. Thank your father and brother or your son for their service. Marine Raiders go a long way, and means a lot to me. But
Yeah. Some of the stories that he has told about trying to get an amphib through the waves at night off Coronado Island,
yeah,
and of course, uh, being Marine Corps, standing next to those Navy SEALs, there's a different standard and a different expectation out of the Corps, that we're there earlier and we're going to train harder and longer than those Navy folks. And so it's just a different perspective of the effort and the training. And I, again, have been pretty fortunate to be involved. I have officiated at several of the Warrior Games. I was actually a competition manager for the games when they were at the Air Force Base in Colorado Springs, and learning and seeing that interaction through and around sport and the camaraderie again of those individuals that have gone through the services is just pretty incredible to watch.
That's one of the things you hear all these guys talk about the Navy SEALs and their warfare, but most people don't understand the capabilities of those Marine Raiders and force reconnaissance guys. And everybody says, "Oh, we're a department of the Navy." 100%. We're just the men's department.
Yeah, yeah. My son says the Navy's there to give them a ride.
That's always the crux. I tell the Navy, I appreciate all your ships. You guys are the best Uber out there.
You guys are too much.
It's a fun time around the team because we have Army and Navy and Air Force, and so the chiding over a meal time, a little bit of downtime is interesting to watch from a distance.
Yes, sir.
At the end of the day, you're all on the same team, wearing USA on your backs, and that's the really fortunate part, that we have so many athletes that represent our country just so well to such a high standard.
Yeah, that's so very true.
Well, Coach, what do you have coming up after the holidays? What's your next adventure?
Well, actually, it's been relatively quiet. November was the first month that I hadn't been on an airplane, which was just kind of an okay thing. I got to spend some time with family over Thanksgiving, and going to go visit my older brother in Wisconsin over Christmas, and uh, have family time here Christmas as well. Uh, in January, I'm going to have a little program on the side of an archery event in Kentucky. So we're going to do a little bit of a session about adaptations and adaptive archery. And then I think we're going to be able to set up and do some simulations. And so we're going to do experiential what's it feel like to shoot from a wheelchair, or what's it feel like to shoot a mouth tab, and learn about some of the things that are out there, because that certainly is one of the biggest hurdles, is um, enticing, for want of a better word, those that think that they can't do it, to come out and give it a try. And having either a JOAD coach or a 4-H instructor or Boy Scout or whoever have an understanding. Well, I have this kid that just came in and he's only got part of an arm. What am I going to do? And so a big part of what, as far as advocacy on my side, is to just create some awareness of, you can do this. And
Yes,
you can do this because you have done it. And so it's fascinating to watch those first timers, coaches and instructors shoot a mouth tap, or sit on a balance disc with their feet dangling and try to shoot a bow. Whoa, that really works my core. Or one of the fascinating pieces is I helped through Kevin Mather, Triumph Foundation, a group out of Pasadena, Santa Clara, California, and they just do some incredible things and have clinics. They partnered this past spring with the offshoot of LA 28, and it was Play LA. So it was just an informational opportunities with a variety of sports: wheelchair basketball and wheelchair tennis and archery through the Triumph. And one of the sessions, there was a young man that had lost his sight. He lost it at 12 or 13, and he was just about to turn 18. And the fascinating piece is to watch somebody that has never felt or seen a bow learn it through tactile.
yes,
Right.
The curve of the limbs, the abrasion of the string, what the little detent on the knock as to how I put that on, and that sort of awareness gives a coach an entirely perspective of, well, what happens under pressure? Well, your sensory of sight and feel, you can see those that go into a shoot off, they pick up their bow and it's like, I've never held this before, because now I feel that mold mark. This
Yeah.
release aid, has it always been that heavy? And what's it take for it to go off? Wow, it's way different today. And it's only because they just mainlined adrenaline. So
Yeah.
now their acuity is through the roof.
Yeah.
And so you see that. And so now you have a method through experience of how to talk them down through that and say, listen, you're going to see that sight dance because you're so much more aware. Your pupils have just dilated, and what you're doing is correcting that much faster. So you're going to see that dot, or you're going to see that pin bobble a whole lot more. Just let it go. You know that that's going to happen. It's like at the buzzer beater, put me in, coach, because I got this. And it's just a matter of being okay in that element, scared the bejeebers out of you, and say, I got this. And so it just that's part of the learn through and again, watching somebody that has never shot a bow learn it through touch. Incredible. Just an incredible way to better understand how and the method of learning.
Wow. Well, Coach, thank you so much for all you do, everything that you've done for the last 30 years to get people out, all of your advocacy. You know, we want to be respectful of your time. We know how busy you are. I want to wish you and your family just a Merry Christmas. And I can't wait to see what happens next year with you. And thank you again for coming on. I know Mike and I are so thankful that you took your time, and this was a great episode.
So happy to be a part of it, and Merry Christmas to everyone, and appreciate everything that you guys are do as far as advocacy and spreading the word of, oh, okay, just get out there and do it.
Yeah, that's the biggest part of it, Coach. Again, just following suit. Thank you again for everything you do. Hope you and your family have a very Merry Christmas. If you're ever in South Carolina, I'd love to get you out here on this. You can give me some pointers. We'll get you on a sip and puff, let you see how that one works with the crossbow and that. But we'll have a good time. But thank you again for your time, sir. We truly appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.